Hey everyone, your host Nick here, and you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. First, I want to remind you that we are a fully independent podcast, quite literally just a group of friends who have met once a week since 2008 to talk about video games. If you like our show, the best thing you can do for us is be active in our community. I recommend Discord. You can subscribe to our show, leave us a review on your preferred podcast service, or, if you're so inclined, bless us with your patronage on Patreon or Twitch. If you're new, all you need to know is this. We record these shows live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central on Twitch, and the audio version launches on all podcast services on Friday morning. Patreon and Twitch supporters will even get the show a day early on Thursdays. But if you want to know more about any of this, about what we do, or find all the important links you need, simply visit us at 4playernetwork.com. And that's it. This is the only ad you'll ever hear on this show. So, with that said, thank you for listening. Let's get started.
All right, let's hey, welcome to the podcast. Woo!
You know, it is episode 800, Brad. If you want to take it away, go for it.
This is episode 800?
This is episode 800.
I would have.
Chris Davis, how come you couldn't help us plan something for 800? What the hell?
You know, I tried to do it for 700 and 600 and 500, and I got shot down
8
every
seems...
time.
Yeah,
maybe. I have a good feeling about 900. I think that'll be the one.
Well, 1,000. If we make it to 1,000, let's take a suicide pact. If we make it to 1,000 episodes,
I like it.
All right,
we'll drink the Kool-Aid.
We'll get our fucking channel banned on air.
Nick pushes out, so we gotta, stick him with the syringe.
No. Jesus Christ. Why is it me? What is it?
I don't know.
You just got that face, you just got that vibe.
I don't
You've
even
got
know
that heroin addict look.
Guy who welches on suicide pact kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Jesus, we're going to a really dark place right out of the bat tonight. So off the bat, so I don't. Let's rein this in. Everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. Like I said earlier, episode 800. It is June 25th, 2024. I'm your host, Nick Henderson, joined by Brad Simons.
What's up?
Christopher Guthridge.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry. I started to say Christopher I was like, which Christopher am I going for? And Christopher Davis.
I'm also here. Good evening.
Welcome. We're back to talk about the wild, wacky world of video games for like the 800th time.
Wacky in some ways more than one.
But if y'all want to just shoot the shit and talk about fast food for the first 45 minutes, I'm totally cool with that too.
And to all the youth out there, y'all hit me up with the whisper.
I had somebody look. Okay, In-N-Out, like people who like In-N-Out.
I ate it In-N-Out.
You like In-N-Out, but you like it because of the burger, right? You don't like it because of the fries.
The fries.
Well, if you get them animal style and you eat them fresh.
Whoa, everybody.
Fresh, they're like hot potato flavored cardboard.
You got 45 seconds to enjoy those fries, otherwise they turn to absolute shit.
Okay. Let me
Animal style.
Guys, everybody shut the fuck up for a second. First of all, who doesn't scarf those fries down in like less than a minute? Nobody.
Well,
second of all,
if you're driving through,
Yeah.
you're fucked. Like,
I eat animal style fries in my car while I'm driving home.
Can I tell you something?
Fuck.
Can I tell you something about myself that's probably gonna get me in?
You don't eat in your car.
I don't like eating while driving.
He's never
He
done
doesn't
it.
like eating in his Scion TC.
No.
He goes into drive-through restaurants and sits in a booth and eats there.
I did that for lunch today
because I have had so many conversations with him about this.
I went into an In-N-Out today and had lunch. The funny thing is, my favorite thing about In-N-Out is the thing that is the one thing that they ask you about when you order a hamburger there, like just to make sure just in case you don't want them. They have really great like crispy onion. They put like a whole like vertical slice or a slice of onion,
raw
onion on their burger, and I fucking love that. And they look at me and they're like, "Do you want onion on that?" I'm like, "Fuck yes, I want onion on that. Why do you think I came here?"
You could get onion on any burger though.
Onion on a
I do like how their
burger?
buns are a little toasty. I mean, that's an important part of a.
Hey, look, I go to In-N-Out like twice a year.
You know what slaps? that new cheddar smokehouse or whatever at Whataburger. Here's the hack. Get the junior one. You know how the menu has a junior one?
Yeah.
Because 2/3 of the way through that burger, you're like, what am I doing here? Right? Of the big one. But that junior one, like
Perfect
you don't
size.
feel like shit afterwards, and it's a good ratio of everything.
Yeah.
I highly recommend.
I think that applies to everything but the patty melt. Like,
Is this a new sandwich?
It's like they have some new like creamy steakhouse sauce, and then they have like breaded fried onions on it. It's
okay.
It's good. It's good.
It's good. But get the junior.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
Tell you what,
I'll
though,
try that.
you say what you will. Shortstop, still pretty decent.
Shortstop.
No,
no.
Shortstop. Shortstop's good. If you want that the flame broiled flavor that like Burger King tries to do, like Shortstop does it, and they just like cook on an actual like flame grill, so like it tastes fucking good.
You got a good Shortstop.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know where Shortstop is that exists.
There's one in the Sprouts parking lot down here on William Canyon.
There's like 9 or 10 of them in town. In fact, you have one that's pretty close to where you live.
Nick, Nick's too bougie for Shortstop. It's fine. Whatever. Let's
just add the bougie thing to the long list of Nick memes that Brad is going to keep railing on this week.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Look, I'm not the only one who calls you bougie, Nick.
I called you bougie when you said you wouldn't eat in your car.
Yeah. I know it has nothing to do with it's like I don't want to like make a mess in my car. It's that like I don't I'm not good at it. I'm not good at eating and driving at the same time. What do you want me to tell you?
Good at it.
You don't want to damage your heated leather seats. I get it.
Yeah. Premium.
I do have heated leather
package
in my car.
Yeah, we know, man. We're not telling stories over here.
You know what's funny? I don't know why.
He's like, but then you have it just in case,
no.
right?
It is great. It is great during like the ice apocalypses that we've been having.
Once every 3 years, but like it was the heat
7 days out of every 2 years.
110.
You really need it.
Listen. It's the heat. Listen, the seats are heated, but they're also cooled.
Whoa. Okay. Now you have my attention. That's kind of.
Is it a 7 series? Like, what do you drive? This is a.
Are you still a Scion guy?
No.
Because you had like
7 series Beamer.
I had 2 Scions, bitch. I had literally 2.
I thought you had one that was like a replacement for one that was the exact same.
No. Yeah. I drove a Scion TC, and then I got my first job, and I was like, I'm gonna. I did the thing, guys.
Buy the exact same car.
No. I did the thing right where I got my first real big boy job, and I got hired, and I was like, I'm gonna buy a car. And I did it. And I went and I traded in my older Scion and got the same car, but like a lot newer.
Oh.
And it was a lot newer.
You really like the Scion? You're just like, I'm a Scion kind of guy.
Okay.
Does that company still exist anymore?
Yeah. It's
it's part of Toyota.
Yeah,
it was a subdivision. I thought they closed that down. Let me look it up.
They might have.
I promise,
what
guys.
Do you drive? What do you drive?
I drive a Kia Optima.
Kia Optima, huh?
The LX, though, right? I mean,
it's the SX.
Oh.
Scion was discontinued in 2017.
Okay.
Is Chris Davis's camera frozen for anybody else, or is that just me?
I think it's his face.
I just thought he was making Chris Davis face.
Yeah, no, it is frozen.
No, he's hard frozen. Like he's just like, guys. I swear to God, we'll eventually talk about video games again.
What are we talking about?
What's there to talk about? Who even plays video games anymore?
Everyone's playing Elden Ring. I'm waiting for the difficulty patches.
I am not playing Elden Ring either, actually.
I came to this podcast this week thinking, of course, I'm not going to be the only person playing the fucking long-awaited expansion to Elden Ring.
No, we talked about it last week, but DLC doesn't really get me all that, get me going all that much.
You know, this is like an extra like 60+ hours of gameplay, right? Like it's not
60+ hours of gameplay.
Dude, let me tell you something. My friends all started playing Elden Ring again. I got on with them to do like because I never finished it. I'm still in the same first playthrough, right? I'm at like the fire giant, and I logged on to I logged on and I was like, okay, I'm gonna finish and get ready for Shadows of the Erdtree, and like my friends are like, we'll help you kill some bosses, blah blah blah. Dude, I've forgotten so much about that game. Like
it's not an easy game to
it's
put down
so daunting now. Like I spent 10 minutes trying to figure out how to fucking summon torrent. Like I can't go back. I can't go back.
The only reason
I'm not looking forward to it because
the only reason I was able to pick it back up and get back into the saddle, so to speak, as quickly as I did, is because Robin's like a fucking monster, Elden Ring monster, and she just was like, "Here, I'll get you back to where you need to be."
For you.
Do you hand her the controller when a boss is beating your ass?
I did hand her the controller once. I did hand her the controller, but she plays on Xbox, so she's also like, "Oh my god, what is this thing?"
You beat Millennia for me.
But okay, so yeah, I guess let's talk about
bosses. What boss are you stuck on? Tell me about the boss that's making you pull your hair. I knew this shit was gonna happen. And sure enough, people are screaming about fucking bosses. And you know what? A lot of those people were playing a shit ton of Elden Ring leading up to this, and they were already warm. They were already ready for these motherfuckers. I'm going in cold, and I'm supposed to like be beating these bosses. Come on,
getting fucking stomped.
I don't know what you want me to tell you here. Look.
I know you don't have to tell me anything. I already know. That's why I'm not playing right now.
But you do remember that Elden Ring is like amazing, right?
Yeah. Right? And I believe it. And I believe as soon as I start playing it, I'm going to be like, Elden Ring is wonderful. I believe it. I'm not worried about the time when I start playing the game and I'm like, Elden Ring is great. I'm worried about the 50th time I died to a boss.
Look, I was right there in the same boat you are, and I managed to get back into it. And once you get over there's a little hump, you get back over it. Here's the thing, and I will be doing this for every single encounter. In fact, not even boss encounters, like every single sub boss, like mini boss or whatever you want to call it, like anything where it'll let me summon other players to help me, I am going to summon other players to help me every single time.
Well, I don't typically summon players, but I do. All the ashes and all that bullshit. Is the blasphemous blade still good? That's my question.
I don't know what that is. Look.
Wow.
Look. One thing, and this is one thing Robin instilled in me very quickly. She's like, you need to make sure you have a mimic tier summon, and I did. Luckily, already had it.
I thought that got nerfed. Is that still good? The mimic tier?
It is amazing. It makes
but like. Didn't it get nerfed? And there was other summons that were good?
It did get nerfed because it was like too good before.
I mean, like it probably got nerfed, but even after being nerfed, it can make a boss that seems impossible seem doable. At the very least, doable. So
but people are still crying. Are then with?
Yeah.
Look, I can't speak for everybody else. All I can say.
You could speak for your experience. How many bosses? This happened with 9 Souls. You're like, this shit ain't that bad. I'm 2 bosses in.
I know there's one boss in particular that everybody is like, holy fucking shit, and I have not fought that boss yet. And I know it's going to be a huge pain in the dick.
I think it's a lot more than just that one. I just think that's an early one, right?
Well, I fought the first, what I would call like main boss. I did it last night on the stream. Like up until this point last night, I have fought maybe like 4 or 5 what I would still probably call boss encounters, but they're not like the kind of boss where you walk into a room and it shows you a cool fucking cutscene and then you're just like, I'm fucking in it. It's more like you walk into a room and you like one of those like red invaders shows up and you're like, oh my god, and you have to fucking survive. Like I've fought like 4 or 5 of those, and some of them were kind of a pain in the dick, but I got through them in like 3 or 4 tries each. I did the boss fight last night. You've seen the one, the lion. That's, in fact, if you're watching the footage, I'm wearing his fucking lion head because I beat him.
I'm not watching the footage. What build do you have?
Everybody loves to ask me that, and I never know. Look, I never know the proper way to answer that question.
Well, what fucking weapon are you using?
What stats are you prioritizing?
I am. First of all, I'm using. I switch between 2 different. I have a katana, which is what I've been using for quite a while, and then I have a staff. So I've been using magic spells for a while.
Wow.
But
I didn't know you were into cheating.
I've been prioritizing strength and intelligence. But I'm also now trying to boost my endurance.
Dex and intelligence. I'm pretty sure you're Dex and intelligence.
I think I'm Dex as well.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a katana, yeah.
My Elden Ring character is straight int, like is a sorcerer. And when I logged in and was like playing around the other night with all my spells, like I feel I don't know. Somebody confirm or deny, but sorcery feels like it got
All your shit got nerfed. Yeah, a lot of stuff got.
Like I have the fucking Comet Azure spell, and it doesn't do dick anymore. Like it doesn't do anything.
But as long as the Blasphemous Blade is okay, then I'm good, because that was my build, the Blasphemous Blade build.
I literally don't know what that is, so I couldn't tell you.
It's a good ass weapon, is what it was, which is faith strength, I believe.
So, do you want me to talk about Erdtree?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just more Elden Ring. You said it yourself. It's more Elden Ring with harder bosses.
Tell me some lore. Tell me some lore stuff. What's a Skadu tree?
Okay, actually,
buff,
I'm really glad.
Buffs.
I'm really glad you asked that question. Two things about that.
Yeah.
One, I don't know enough about, like, listening to Robin talk about Elden Ring lore makes me realize I know nothing about Elden Ring lore, so I'm not even gonna try. But it is definitely tied to the lore. And
she's on those lore videos and shit, isn't she?
Oh, dude, she watches those daily. Like, she eats her lunch while watching Vaati videos.
Someone in the relationship should be Christ.
Yes. Anyways, my point is the Skadu tree fragments, I think that's what they're called, that you brought up, is maybe one of the most interesting additions. It's there because they were trying to balance this DLC for people who have only played through the game once, or maybe this is their first playthrough, right? And they haven't even finished the base game. They've just gotten to the point where they can access it, and the people who are on like their 8th new game plus or whatever. So they're trying to find a way to balance it. So what they did was they introduced these fragments that you can find scattered throughout this realm that is exclusive to this DLC. And for each one you find, you can level up. There's a special blessing. I forgot what it's called, like Shadow Realm Blessing or something, that you level up at the Sites of Grace. And every time you level that up, it boosts your damage and your ability to negate damage. So it makes you stronger.
Just straight up beyond, like after your stats, it's just tacking on.
Yes, it's just tacking on top of that. It's just, you're not even leveling up. It's just but those buffs, which are permanent, only work when you're in this realm. If you go back to the main area, they don't do anything.
So you have like a new progression system on top of this. I mean, so does leveling up in this world still like is it still potent to like?
Yeah, no, it's still functions the exact same. Are you kind of
supposed to be at the same level the whole expansion?
No. You're definitely leveling up, and you're, like, I've already gone up like 7 or 8 levels since I started playing the DLC, right? So like, you're progressing the same way, but like,
does it scale to the levels that you were before the DLC? Like, I'm at the end of New Game Plus, so like, does that mean that I'm gonna have a hell of a time leveling up, or am I gonna be just doing normal?
It's normal. I mean, here's like, it takes about 200,000 souls for me to level up at this point. Robin takes about 600,000 souls to level up, so she's progressing a lot slower. But if you find these fragments and you level yourself up, you're closing the gap. So like, even though the enemies scale with your level, like, so like if you're on your 6 new game plus and you go into this, yes, all the enemies are gonna be a lot harder. The same way they're going to be harder for me going in at the point where I'm at, but as long as you're collecting and searching for these fragments, you're
so if I'm just on new game, I never started new game plus. Are these not just, they're just not going to do much?
I mean,
Farrakhan says that the bonuses offered by the Skadu tree fragments are percentage based, so it's like percentage of strength or whatever. So it scales with, so if that means if you're a new game plus and you're at like level 1 whatever, I don't know, 180 or 200 or something like that, and you have a higher strength score, dex score, or whatever,
that's going to go up more than everything else.
Right, it'll scale the advancement with the Skadu tree.
So it's really smart, and there's actually like lore tied. The DLC is all about Nicola. I know that. I don't.
Yeah, who isn't in the game? Who isn't in the first game?
Well, she's alluded to a lot, and when you fight Moog in the base
Nicola's game, a boy.
He's a boy. But like, Mikola is, you learn a lot about Mikola, but when you fight Moog, you see this like giant like ball or something, and you see Mikola's
the
arm
egg
hanging
thing.
the egg. So like his arm is like hanging out of the egg.
Yeah.
So to access this, you actually have to go. You have to fight Moog, and then you have to touch the hand, and it takes you to this place. So
all right, question.
Right.
So the moment to moment is just very Elden Ring. You're just exploring a big open space, finding little caves and stuff. Yeah. And there's legacy dungeons there, or
I've done several of them, and they're interesting. Like
you've done several legacy dungeons.
Well, I guess I've done several like side dungeons. I'm not really sure when you say legacy dungeons. What do you mean?
Like the big. What do you mean?
Like how Stormvale was a legacy.
Yeah, like Stormvale Castle. You know, like the Academy. Like the big.
Like the ones that have like major bosses at the end.
Yeah, I've done one of those so far. There's several.
Okay.
In this DLC.
I mean, I like Elden Ring, but maybe I'll get all these Scooby-Doo things or whatever. But like when you get to a boss, you just like summon human assistants right away.
I made this as look. I am coming off of 9 Souls. I also don't like. I mean, as much as I love Elden Ring, I don't want to be playing this for the next like 6 months. So like, but I definitely want to play and experience this expansion because I think I love Elden Ring. So I just made the decision very quickly that like, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make these bosses go down as smoothly as possible. I mean, and for me, that means summoning people.
Do they just kill it right away?
No, but like a lot of what it is the first boss you go to, it gives you, because sometimes like you'll meet NPCs in the world. This happened in base game, right? So if you talk to a certain NPC, then suddenly you go to a boss fight and they show up like a summoning thing shows up.
Yeah, I summon those fools all the time.
Yeah, so that happens. That happened with the first boss fight. But I also summoned an actual person to come in with me. So I had that guy and I had a person helping me.
Are there a bunch of Let Me Solo Her knockoffs these days?
I have not run into one. I've still like that lion fight last night. There's like Terry Master in chat was helping me a lot last night. How many times did that take me, Terry Master? That probably took me like 10 plus tries on the lion last night, and I was summoning people every time. Yeah. So like that lion fight, it was, even with 2 summons essentially helping me take him down, it was pretty clutch. I was sweating balls last night.
It's like summoning's not gonna be a fucking silver bullet, because like I don't like the way I play, and I'm sure a lot of people play this way, is like when I get to a boss fight, I usually put my summoning sign down to fight it as a summon before I do it myself, just so I can see what the fuck's going on.
That's actually a good point. Yeah. And I feel like because I'm pretty much just, also because there's so many people playing the expansion right now, I put the summoning, I use the finger, right? And you see all these little markers show up, and I start just hitting them, but people are getting them as quickly as they're popping up. So like, I'm like, summon this guy, and he's like, not available. Summon this guy, not available. And I'm just like hitting them. I'm not even. That was
like Stormvale at launch.
So everyone, like, it was kind of evenly split between people who like, I clearly got someone who was doing what Crispy's doing, who's probably like, I'm testing the waters, right? See what's going on here. And
it's not that scary when you're the summon.
Yeah. And then
Terry in chat saying there's some boss fights that don't allow summons.
Yeah, there are some. But I don't think I might be wrong, but I don't think that any of those bosses are going to be bosses that would like smash you into the ground in 5 seconds. Like it
wasn't
optional, maybe. You sweet summer child.
Weren't there ones like that in the
those are the worst.
I did a boss last night where I couldn't summon.
You couldn't summon players in Radon, could you? You had to use all the NPC ones?
Because you had all the NPCs, right? There's usually a reason for it.
I fought Radon post nerf, so I one shot at that motherfucker. Get fucked, Radon.
You and your gimpy horse.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you brought up the fragment thing, because that is definitely, of what I've played so far, that is the one thing I wanted to like really draw attention to, is they found a really interesting way that is like tied into lore. So if you're like an Elden Ring lore nut, like it's really interesting because it's tied to like you have to basically follow Mikola's footsteps through the Shadow Realm, and when each kind of like marker you come to is like marks like a spot on his journey through the Shadow Realm, and that's kind of what. And then you learn a little bit more about Mikola's background, and then you get one of these fragments. You go to the thing, and then it's interesting, and it gives you incentive to explore. And like there's just like Elden Ring, there's a fucking lot to explore here, and it's all really good. And let me tell you, the first time I walked into the Shadow Realm, I was like, fuck, I forgot how beautiful this game is. Holy shit. And then I met the first new enemy type, and he just destroyed
fucked you inside out.
Just fucked me inside out. It's bad.
Yeah. So I have heard that there is a new hot lady in this. Like Ronnie is a
You mentioned this on my last stream last night, and I have not met this person, but I welcome it. We'll see what happens.
Just saying, there might be a new queen in town.
I'm still relatively early in this.
Does anyone know if there is a new ending to the game if you beat the DLC?
To the base game? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how this affects the ultimate the ending of the actual game. I mean, I'm going to assume there is an ending to this DLC that kind of stands on its own. I don't know if it's going to have a bigger impact on like the ending to the base game. That is for me. So. That is yet to be seen. I think it's maybe just too early to be asking those questions because most people are still, balls deep in this game. But let me tell you, if you like Elden Ring and you like the core loop of Elden Ring and exploring the world of Elden Ring, this DLC has. I feel bad even calling it DLC. It's big enough and expansive enough. This is a full blown expansion to this game. I can see myself spending another 40 hours easy in this expansion. So. And I'm sure I'm going to. Although 10 of those hours are probably going to be me replaying boss fights over and over again.
Probably more than 10.
Probably. Let's be real, probably. But hey, man. And Vincent Street in chat says none of the previous Souls DLC affected the base game ending, so I would imagine that's probably going to hold true here. But this will, I would imagine, if you play this expansion, it's going to give you, I mean, what is an ending if not updated lore, right? So like, it's going to give you a whole new avenue of lore to explore, right?
I don't know about like new weapons and shit.
There are new weapons.
The same bullshit you used in the main game.
No, my armor set right now is completely new armor. I'm still using I haven't found a weapon that I have been able to level up high enough to be better than my katana.
Oh yeah, you
yet.
get any cool Ashes of War?
Yes, I've gotten several. I don't use it in this footage though. But I know Robin got a sword the other day that's like, I forgot what it's called. It's like Sun and Moon or something like that, and it's just like I don't want to spoil it, man, but I watched her use it and I was like, wow, that's pretty fucking wild. I want that. So there's definitely new equipment and stuff that makes this worth going through.
I mean, I'm probably gonna play this shit at some point, but I got so many games and I'm in the middle of right now.
I probably wouldn't have played this so
Rebirth.
I probably wouldn't have played this as quickly if, like Robin's been here like 5 days, 4 days, like just counting down and like taking time off from work and being
just
like
ruining your life.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, I can't be in here not playing Elden Ring while she's in there playing Elden Ring because like we're just. So that's kind of what's going on.
How do you feel about that? I mean, or do you look at that and go, "Is this what it's like to truly love a video game?"
Such an alien concept.
I love all video games.
Yeah,
okay.
That's all lives matter.
Is this how Brad feels about Mina the Hollower?
Oh my god! Can I call this game? Can I call this show "All Games Matter" or something? That's
oh god, no.
It's not a good joke. Hey, let's talk about how Nick thinks Mina the Hollower is not for him because it's ugly.
It's not what I said.
It's also not ugly.
Did you not hear me just say that I love all video games? Even the bad ones? Even the bad ones like Mina the Hollower? I'm just kidding.
There's games.
What else do we fucking play?
I mean, I have another game, but I don't want to go right into.
No, let me talk about my shit real quick.
Yeah, fucking go.
I've been playing some Next Fest demos. I played, a handful of them. But Arranger is one I waited to talk about, I guess. I don't know. Because I wanted to draft it in Fantasy Critic before I talked about it. Because I didn't want y'all stealing that shit. But y'all didn't, because I mean, whatever.
By the way, there are no overlays for the names of these games.
I don't care about overlays. Roll that footage.
I didn't know that I would. I'm grabbing it right now. Hang on.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about not Arranger.
No, you
how long is that gonna take?
I'll just load it in a second.
Can I? So I'm watching the feed right now as we're recording this podcast, and I can see that Chris Davis is not frozen. In this Discord call, he is still frozen.
In the Discord call. I'm not too worried.
He could have left the room, and I would never know.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, I don't know how to fix his Discord call, but whatever.
Hey, if we're venting right now while we're trying to pass some time, I wouldn't.
No, so Arranger is a game. I picked it up in Fantasy Critic.
Okay,
and I'm
fuck me then, I guess.
What?
I thought we were trying to pass time until he got the footage rolling, so I started saying something, and you just ran over me.
But he said he was about to get it, and look, it's there. Arranger. Yeah. So this is a new puzzle game that's coming out soon, and I played the demo, and I'm like, oh, this thing's legit. This is the real deal. I like this a lot. So I picked it up. I'm a Fantasy Critic. This is a new puzzle game from some developer that I forget what they're called. Some like hipster name or some shit. But
wow, really did a research.
Hipster name or some shit.
No, I know. It's people that worked on. There's a game Carto that one of the guys that's doing that. Nick Sutner, who
I know. I remember Nick Sutner.
Used to be
he worked for Sony for a while,
media, but he worked for Sony, and then he kind of started writing for games. He's part of this developer. And also the artist for Braid. You might notice the art style is very similar to kind of it's sort of like a more refined take on the Braid art style, which is a little
Oh, I remember this. Okay.
And I really think like visually this is a really cool game. It might be hard to tell on stream far away. I'm looking at it on the phone. I mean, fuck. But it's a puzzle game where the whole world is like on tiles and it moves as you move. Everything around you on your tile lane or whatever moves as you move. So it becomes really tricky.
I imagine.
It is hard to explain, but I mean, like a slide puzzle game, right? If there is an enemy, if there are an object 2 tiles away from you and you move towards it, it's going to move away from you because you're moving everything in your lane,
the whole row,
both up and down. You're moving the whole row, the whole column, right? And they call this a role puzzling adventure, but this is it is very story driven. But this is also like a kind of like a Zelda like, if you will, where you start off in a town and you're going to be like there's going to be like dungeons and stuff, but everything is based around this very like specific movement mechanic and the type of puzzle around there, and just from what I've gathered from like playing the demo and trailers and stuff, it's there's some really neat the ways that they kind of take this mechanic and like play with it and get really tricky with it is like pretty clever. There's some clever stuff here, and I just like the way it moves. Like so not only do you move your lane moves as you move, but also there's like wraparound. So if you go to the end of like one room or whatever, you'll pop out the other side, and that's like a big part of like the puzzle design as well, where you're trying to get things to the other side and you're trying to move them around. And when I saw a trailer, I was like, oh, this is going to be too hard. This is going to be like brutal, and kind of like what's the game, the paper folding one that we watched a trailer for,
the one that you said gets hard really fast.
Yeah, so that got hard really fast, and I was worried this is going to be like really difficult like that, but I feel like this is a lot breezier, at least at the start of the game, kind of where I'm at. Like it's tricky, but if you just kind of like calm down for a second and stop moving and think about it, like you start picking up little tricks and you start moving like a lot faster, and it's been a really like breezy but also tricky, like, and clever but ultimately very satisfying puzzle game that they introduced, and it's like right out of Braid, right? They have like objects in the world that are not affected by like the movement of the tile, meaning that they stay in place. So if you or like an object bumps into it, it kind of like stops the movement on that row. So the puzzle design also kind of moves into working around those limitations, and it gets tricky fast and it gets clever fast. And I don't like the story itself is pretty good too. Like you're kind of like an outcast and you're trying to get out of your town, your village, and some of the people there are real nice and some of the people there are kind of like dicks, and you kind of get the vibe that some people are glad you're leaving, because I think it has something to do with your power, because early on in the game you're just trying to like walk through town and you like knock some person over who's like climbing up a ladder because you move the world as you move or whatever, right? But I think it's also just a story about someone who's just trying to get out of their town or whatever, and like your first quest is to like find a place to put your shit because you're leaving, and you can't leave it where you were staying. So you're like talking to people and like trying to like, hey man, can you take some of my shit? And I don't know. Me personally, I find that like kind of a funny, relatable thing because sometimes your shit is the thing that makes it hard to do anything. Let me tell you. But it just seems well polished and well made. And like, I got to be honest with you guys, I think this one's a banger. Like, I really like this demo. I think it's super cool. Like, there's even a boss in the demo, right? But you don't have like weapons or anything. But in terms of the puzzle designs, you'll see like swords and stuff in the environment that you have to try to manipulate to hit enemies, right? To actually like destroy the enemies that are basically the obstacles. But I got to a boss that was very reminiscent of like a Link to the Past boss, right? Where he's kind of like a caterpillar or centipede or whatever that gets longer. But the thing is, he moves only as you move the world, and he gets longer as long as you have a path to like move him along, and you're trying to get his tail to appear and have him run into himself to damage him. That's like the way you damage him, and like manipulating that with like the rule set of the tile movement of the world was actually pretty tricky. So like these, like in terms of like puzzle design, like they definitely know how to ramp up difficulty and they know how to like add cool variety. It's a simple idea, but like I'm telling you, I feel like they're nailing it. This is one I'll absolutely play when it comes out.
I think the visual style alone is also going to be really interesting to see because like just this first level, it looks really nice and it's really unique. Like this, where they have stuff in the foreground and the background. Not all stuff is related to the grid you're on, but it's like.
And when they'll do things like when you're moving along the world, like later on in the demo, I don't know if I get to it here, and you're just kind of like on a river and you're like moving to another part of the world. You'll see like big like cutouts kind of happen in the background of like zoom ins of your character and maybe her interacting with other things, people and things, and it's like stories happening, kind of without words through like these like panels, and it's got a good look, man. I think this one's really cool. Like the writing's good, the look is good. They're nailing it. I don't know. I drafted it for a reason, and I kind of waited to talk about it for a reason. But if you're interested, try the demo.
Does it have a date?
Demo's still up. July, August, I think maybe. July,
another one of these indie darlings that's sneaking up very quickly.
I mean, but again, what's an indie darling anymore if no one notices? I feel like it's really brutal out there. I feel like maybe this one might do okay, but unless you got a publisher that's really kind of getting it out there, you hate to see it, but sometimes not enough people are paying attention. But I'm saying I feel like this is one people should definitely be paying attention to. It's really cool. And I got one other one I want to talk about real quickly. It's another game I played during the Next Fest. One of a handful that I played, but this one kind of stuck out as being pretty cool. It's called Dungeons of Hinterberg. You may have seen it in like a Xbox showcase or something. Maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, I remember this. I don't remember which
this one also
comes
out. This one also comes out pretty soon. And I don't know. It just seemed cool. Like it was a little like janky, a little indie or whatever. And I feel like it's a big idea for like maybe an indie dev, and that's why it's a little janky, but I feel like the idea is so cool that I'm kind of excited to play, even if I know it might be a little janky. This is a 3D action adventure, like kind of like it's like 3D Zelda meets Persona, if you will.
Okay.
And I think what you're gonna see here is me like fighting some dudes and like kind of
snowboarding
around the world, and eventually I'll get to a dungeon. It's called Dungeons of Hinterberg, but it's actually like a 3D Zelda game where there's like these dungeons you go into, and they're bespoke dungeons with like puzzle design and stuff, and there's a bunch of them. In the demo you just do one of them, but you actually see a long list of like the dungeons in the game, and I think there's like 15 dungeons, and they might not quite be as long as like a big Zelda game, but they definitely do seem like fairly unique. I see trailers, and one of them is like kind of like a minecart dungeon where you're riding minecarts. I'll get to the dungeon here pretty quick, I believe, but this one is like, it's very the abilities you just get are like this laser, and you're like a little snowboard thing, and you're on these the dungeon you get into, you're kind of on these like smaller like planetoids kind of like Mario Galaxy style. And I'm like, oh, this is like, there's some pretty cool ideas here. It's not, there's a little bit of jank to it. Like the combat is not like blowing me away or anything, but not many people out there are doing like 3D Zelda games with like cool bespoke dungeons, honestly. So I kind of applaud them for that. But then you go back to town after you get to that dungeon, and there's like this whole town, and it's very like indie, but it's, like in terms of like the characters and the writing, but and I mean that by saying like it's pretty good and it's pretty charming, but you have basically social links. Like a lot of your upgrades as a character are like through these social links that happen through having interactions with people in the town, right? And the thing is, it's on a Persona style calendar system. So like you can go into a dungeon, but like to do that dungeon, but time's going to move forward. You can hang out with this person to spend time with this person because you actually have like a checklist that says, well, if you develop this relationship here, it's going to increase this resource, or you're going to get this new item, or you're going to get this ability. So like maybe keep building that relationship, but you can only do so many things in a day because making those choices advances time, just like Persona. And I feel like that's like a cool, I've always been like very anxious about like the rigid structure of a Persona game, right? Where you're like,
it's pretty
am I
rigid,
doing,
yeah.
Am I doing this right? Am I making bad choices? Should I not be hanging out with this person? Should I be eating ramen, beef bowls or whatever the fuck, right? But this seems like way more chill because it kind of has that laid back indie vibe, and everyone's like, hey, what's up, man? And like, but like the writing is good, and it's like I want to hang out with these characters not just because they seem cool, but also because like I get these abilities and loot and shit, and then there's these cool dungeons, man. I just like.
Is this a dungeon we're looking at right now?
This is this is a dungeon.
It looks like fucking Mario Galaxy. Like you're walking all over.
That's
like
what I was saying.
Planetoids.
It's like Mario Galaxy meets SSX Tricky without the tricks.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting. You were talking about the minecart thing, and I was kind of expecting that, and then we get to hear it. I was like, "This is definitely not what I was expecting." But it looks
that was another dungeon that I saw in the trailer, and I bring that up to say that I think they're all like maybe pretty different. Actually, I don't know. I don't. But I do know there's like at least a dozen dungeons or so in this game, and just like the structure and the vibe and the look, it might be hard to tell from this footage, but like there's like a good cool art style.
Even the character looks. I mean, I'm watching this footage on a small screen from our stream, right? But like the character, like the animation and the character art reminds me a little bit. It looks almost like either like Miyazaki-esque or like maybe something more akin to like what do you call it? What's the fucking Life is Strange or something? I don't know. But like it's definitely not a style I was really expecting from this kind of game, and I kind of dig it.
It's and when you're in town, it's got kind of Life is Strange energy. But again, that Persona structure, which is like kind of cool that indie's just sort of like, we can do that. Let's do that in a Zelda game with social links. It's pretty cool. I don't know, I don't know if this is like, Fantasy Critic like worthy or anything, but like I had a good time with the demo, and again, I think it's coming to Game Pass, so I'll probably play it when it comes out, and I think it comes out next month.
Man, next month's
cool.
Kind of stacked.
I initially kind of like I saw this in like a couple of those showcases, and I was like, what is this bullshit? But I'm glad I actually tried the demo because it was pretty fun.
So again, what's it called? Dungeons of Hinterberg?
Hinterberg. Yeah,
cool.
I think it's like some Norwegian-esque town or some shit. I don't fucking know.
Cool.
Pretty cool. Unfortunately, I couldn't get show off any of the town stuff, but that stuff's pretty cool too.
Dungeon looks pretty rad though. All right. So before I talk about my game, it's Crispy. I know you didn't really. What you been up to, man?
He's over there playing Slay the Spire on his phone.
Yeah, I'm playing phone games, and honestly, this last week's been a little crazy.
Understood.
I mean, the
only thing I've really been playing. So like I played like 2 hours of V Rising the other day because I was like, let's give this a shot and see if it's any different. I didn't really get far enough to surpass where I'd already been. Oh. Still cool. I still want to keep playing it. But I'm trying to get ready for the next Final Fantasy expansion.
Oh shit!
Next week. Next week,
July 2nd.
I'm like 2 patches behind, And I keep doing the shit where I'm like, oh, I gotta finish leveling up my fucking, my warrior job because I'm only at 77. I gotta get to level 90 to get to level cap. And then like I just realized today, like, what am I fucking doing? Like, the level cap's going up to 100 next week. I'm wasting my time. Like, so I'm trying to get through story stuff and get through the relic weapon quests. I've got so much. Yeah, I'm not ready. I got so much shit to do.
I didn't realize I was sneaking up on so quickly.
In the first place, man.
What?
I thought this was your shit.
Don't forget about all the people who are going to be punching a week early.
Well, I was staying current. So like, you have to remember my last Final Fantasy stint went for a while because it was like all of Endwalker post patches, so it was like 5 or 6 patches into Endwalker, and then the first maybe just the first post patch after, but like there was like 6 months where like this is the only thing I was playing. And then I walked away and played other stuff, and you know, I'm just getting off of a big Destiny bender. And yeah, no, I was like, I know I have to get rid. I actually re-upped my subscription like a while ago, which I shouldn't have done because I've been paying for time I haven't been using. But like, I thought I was gonna get back into it like in March or something, and yeah. Destiny was like the farthest thing away from my mind. I was still playing, you know, new stuff coming out here and there. I was like, oh, I'm gonna play Like a Dragon for a while, which you know, still on the back burner. But I've hit a point in Like a Dragon where it's like the next objective is like raise 3 million yen, and I'm just like it's not that hard, but it's that really fluid objective of like however long this takes you is how long it takes you, and that kind of like the story was getting really good. The story was getting like really like juicy, and then they're like, okay, you can't continue the story until you have a bunch of money, and I'm like, fuck, okay, fine, I guess I'll. Yeah, like I was just like, the side stuff is good, but I was just trying to get through it. Like, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
when you're supposed to do the management game. Or
whatever. I know. I've done a bit of the management game so far. I've done a fair amount of it. And I realized that it was like, yeah, I have to go just deal with management for a while, which is cool. It's a fun game. It's funny as shit. Like, I love the fucking board meetings where like one of my executive board members is a chicken, and like people are like, I think the company's doing poorly, and the chicken's like, I think you're mistaken. Like, it's fucking it's delightful, but it came at a bad time. It came at a time where like busy work wasn't something I had a lot of time and patience for.
Lust for, yeah.
So yeah, I'm just kind of making the rounds in my lifestyle games, I guess.
That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. I wish I had more to say about Destiny at this point to talk about it, but I still.
Oh, that's right. You fucking. I knew it.
I was gonna stream it last night, but then I was like, no. I was gonna stream it last night, and then I was like, I feel like I got Erdtree is like one of those things where it's like if I don't do it right now, it's just never gonna happen.
I don't know if that's the way to look at it, Nick.
But
I mean, as a person who just put out Baldur's Gate for over a year now, I feel like you know. Don't say you'll never get to it just because you're not playing it now.
I don't know how to explain to you how my brain works, but that's just what my brain was telling me. But I'm probably going to get back to doing Destiny on Monday nights. I wanted to make some progress in Erdtree specifically so I would have more to say about it on this podcast. So now that I've talked about it, that'll kind of be my
now you can stop playing it.
I am definitely going to finish that game, but I'm gonna get back at streaming Destiny on Monday nights. So, Chris Davis, I'm so freaked out by the fact that I can't see your face moving, but I feel like I should ask you.
He needs to drop out of the Discord.
Let me see about fixing it. I may have borked the call.
Welcome back to the show.
Back to the podcast, y'all.
I apologize for the technical difficulties we experienced in the first segment. I don't even know. Right now, as we're recording this live, I have no idea how the audio on the actual MP3 version is going to sound. But hopefully it's okay. So anyways, welcome back. Chris Davis, I know you said in Discord today, really all you've been playing is Rise of the Ronin. Before I get into my second game, did you have any updates you wanted to add there on your time with Rise of the Ronin?
Well, I've gotten to the third map, and I have made the big decision.
Okay, you're further than me now.
You're putting the game down?
Weirdo.
No, there's a big decision that they've been leading to throughout the entire game that you had to make. And I had to make it. And I mainly made it because I wanted to romance a particular character. So,
okay. Can I just say, I'm having flashbacks to the big decision in Resident Evil 7 that Chris Davis made.
No. Oh no!
Now I'm not so sure how I feel about that.
I mean, look, just because Zoe is a better character doesn't mean that. Anyway, I joke when I say that about romancing a particular character. I do want to romance her, but like, also the faction that I'm going against, like, they did some dark shit that I'm not happy with.
Not okay with.
And I'm kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go with the devil I know versus the devil who does more horrendous shit. So,
just not your literal wife, right? You're not gonna choose your literal wife. You're gonna choose some country bumpkin that you just
don't
met.
listen to them, Chris Davis. These guys are wife guys. Okay, fuck them. Who cares? Like,
wife guys.
They are wife guys.
These guys have like wives that they love and shit. Like, so stupid.
Yeah. My God, that is fucking hilarious. Okay, so you're in the third map.
Yeah, I'm in the third map. It's
Are you still doing like the 100% shit?
Kinda, yeah. I went back and I 100%ed the previous two maps because you can do that.
That's crazy.
So
how many hours have you put into this?
I'm at like 38, I think. Something like that.
That's actually not that bad.
Well, he definitely doesn't play. Like, I spent more time playing the game, and I'm not even on the third map yet. But we play games differently, so.
I mean, the thing you have to realize about the map design of this game is that it is spread out, but like it is also very convenient for you to go get the next checkmark item on a list for a region.
All right, let's not talk about boring shit. What's your favorite weapon style?
I really like using the polearm. Between that and Uchiganga or whatever it's called.
Uchiganga.
Yeah, just like your standard sword. Your standard sword.
Sounding like Nick over there.
Whoa, I mean, that's what they call it.
You gotta hit 10 points.
Nick's the kind of guy that calls a katana a samurai sword.
Yeah.
First of all, I said the word katana like in the last segment of this episode.
I know you did. I love you. I'm sorry.
So what I didn't find out about until like 15 hours into the game was that it does allow you to do pacifist play, like to just beat enemies but don't actually kill them. That has actually no effect on the narrative except various particular missions. And even then, the effect of that is basically just affecting your relationship with a particular character at a time, which you can easily make up by just giving them gifts and stuff like that. So it's not really like helpful or directly affecting the narrative, but I still kind of like doing it because in my opinion, that's the more insulting way to take out an enemy.
But like,
so
to me, like the best part of the very limited amount of time I've spent with this game, my favorite part was like kind of just the feel of like, this is gonna sound real fucked up, but like the feel of cutting bitches up in the combat in this game is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
I still don't know what weapon Chris Davis was referring to. Is it an Odachi?
The Uchiganga?
Whatever the standard sword is that they gave you, and the polearm.
Okay, so it's a katana. Yes. Okay. I think he was referring to a specific style of katana. Okay.
Yeah. Although that being said, like the various styles that you can get of the various different weapons, like there's a lot of fun possibilities there.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I guess like, Okay, so here's a Neo question for you. Okay, so Neo, when that came out, that had like 3 or 4 different weapon positions that you would use to counter enemies in combat, right?
No, well, weapons had 3 different like stances, like a low, medium, and a high stance, and there's different like combos depending on what stance you're in, and that's per weapon. Here you have just your weapon like move set, and then you switch to different styles.
Okay.
Of using the same weapon. It's not that different, except the sort of the combat triangle, the priority system didn't exist in Neo exactly. I mean, there were some enemy types where like a quicker, lower stance might be more useful than like a slower, higher, more linear stance. But you know, it's less rock paper scissors than the styles in this game, I suppose.
Okay, but like Neo did not present that information to you with like it does in
Ronin,
right? Okay. Because that took me a while to figure out like what those arrows and signs meant, because they don't teach you that. There's a lot in this game they don't actually fucking teach you.
That's in the game. These are all tutorials in the game. They're tutorials in the game.
Not tutorials.
They teach you the red arrow down is bad, blue arrow up is good. They teach you that. It's in there.
I mean, not in the context that I'm talking about. That's what I mean.
Also, I just want to say, I'm not saying the game doesn't expressly tell you anything, but the game tells you too much. Like there's just so much to sort through to like learn any like if you're trying to find one particular piece of information, I personally just get overwhelmed very quickly trying to dig through menus trying to find specific information.
Feel like it's a relatively simple, straightforward game. Like this is the simplest game they've made
at all.
Yeah, I know your experience, but yours is down in the muck a few hours in. He's played 50 fucking hours.
I did play 10 hours. Like how many 10 hours is not a significant amount enough 10, for you?
You hit 10. I'm gonna look at that.
I did hit 10 hours. Yes.
Yeah, but
it's just like the simplest game Team Ninja's made in a long time. I just don't agree with you.
And honestly, I appreciate it for that. Like, I really like this combat loop. It is very forgiving. I like the parry system they've got built into there. I like the variety of weapons and the combat styles you can do. I love the freedom to go full balls to the wall engagements versus just sneaking around and assassinating everyone. Like, it is a fun experience. And I am really glad that I have Nick's copy that I will eventually get back to him.
You want to just buy it from me? I'm not going to play this game again.
Really?
I think I'm done. Yeah. I think I've.
Well, I don't know. I still don't see a release date for Deca Police, Nick. Though, so you got.
You're right, but TGS is coming up. I'm gonna get nervous if Deca Police doesn't get a date in at TGS.
You might have to play the extremely hotly anticipated Metaphor.
I was already interested in Metaphor. Thank you very much. Don't worry, I'm not concerned.
Yeah, but not like a Robin interested, if you know what I'm saying. I feel like this is a good. We've hit a point of understanding.
Why am I catching so many strays tonight? What is that?
You're the one talking.
It's the 800.
Look,
it's
we're
episode 800. It's the big
in a second, and they'll be catching some strays. Don't you worry. We gotta clear some things up. So,
all right.
Actually, where are we on this? Are we ready to move on?
I have a game to talk about. I have one more game to talk about.
Yeah.
What is this, Brad? I said I got a game to talk about, and you're like, ew. I
didn't say ooh. I said oh. I thought Elden Ring was your big game.
No. I played all the way through a game this past weekend.
There was another game that dared to launch right against Shadow of the Erdtree, and it was
Still Wakes the Deep.
Oh yeah.
The new game from the Chinese
short horror things. Yeah.
Short horror narrative thing. Now here's
it's on Game Pass, by the way.
Hopefully, that's how I played it on Game Pass.
Good. See,
you really must think I'm dumb, Brad.
I don't think you're dumb. I think you actively buy a lot of games that you don't have to pay for because you want to play them on Steam Deck. I get it.
There have been some, but this is definitely not one of them.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad.
Yes,
I'm glad that the model is working.
I mean, for the number of Game Pass games that I actually play, I still probably feel like I'm spending more money than I would have if I just bought the games outright on Steam. but I'm just like the number of games I have played through on Game Pass probably does not justify the like $20 I'm spending every single month that I've had for like over a year. You know what I mean? Like it would just add up. I've probably spent more on Game Pass.
But I mean, you got to play more Game Pass games, I guess.
I mean, that's probably true. I constantly keep an eye on it. Anyways, I played through Still Wakes the Deep.
How was that? Very Scottish.
The new game from what did you hear? It's pretty weird.
Very Scottish.
It is very Scottish. I did not actually expect that. Like it takes place on an oil rig out in the middle of the ocean, and everybody on the oil rig is Scottish. Voice acting is great. Do highly recommend subtitles, which is actually pretty funny because they use a lot of like Scottish like jargon, and the subtitles don't even bother trying to interpret the actual jargon. They just like, this is what it translates to in English, which is interesting. But yeah, so the Chinese Room. I guess what I can say about this game, first of all, I beat it in like 4.5 hours, right? And I wasn't really sure. I mean, the Chinese Room makes kind of a very specific kind of game, right? And for
Nick
better
is
or
like,
worse,
they're called the Chinese Room. Can this count towards my Japanese games list?
That's not at all what I. Look, the Chinese Room for me, you might know them as the team that made Dear Esther and Amnesia: Machine for Pigs, right? That's just them.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone's gone to the Rapture.
Everyone's gone to the Rapture. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, I believe, was them as well.
And they're working on the very concerning
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Okay, look. So this game, this game is basically like The Thing on an oil rig, but without the very. Let me be very clear here. Without the like, alien can take the shape of any human being, right? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have that.
So not The Thing.
Yeah, it has the atmosphere of The Thing. It kind of has like the
paranoia,
tone,
like Alien.
It might have more in common with Alien, but I feel like the setting just kind of makes it feel a little bit more closer to The Thing, right?
This is kind of Lovecraftian, I heard, right?
It is pretty Lovecraftian.
I've heard there's a lot of body horror.
There's a lot of body horror, right? And I've heard, going into this, I heard a lot of people talking about how it kind of like feels really good to control, and it's not just, this is a team that is very commonly associated with quote unquote walking simulators, right?
Yeah.
And I was going into this I was kind of like, I've heard good things about it being less of a walking simulator, more of like a proper horror game with like really good controls and like fluid motion and stuff, which I kind of agree and disagree on here. Because
I thought I've heard the opposite.
This also has a little bit of Alien Isolation in it, but what I will say is that I was kind of hoping that this game would end up being where it's like you're on this oil rig, that's the setting, and you can kind of explore it, kind of like you would like Resident Evil, like classic Resident Evil. They drop you into a big space, and you can kind of like move throughout and explore as needed to like achieve the objectives and stuff, while avoiding enemies and that kind of thing. It's not that. It's incredibly linear. You're pretty much on a path from start to finish. They
make narrative games, right?
They make narrative games, but like I was also going into this with the thought in my mind that this is the team making working on Bloodlines 2, Vampire the Masquerade, right? Which is not this kind of game. So I was like, this would be their last chance prior to Bloodlines 2 to kind of prove themselves as someone who can make a game that's maybe more mechanically heavy or more mechanical depth, I suppose, than what they're typically associated with. And I don't think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I feel like if anyone is anticipating Bloodlines 2, you need to like really take a step back, because
if you're anticipating Bloodlines 2 for the reasons that you
ill-fated project, that is not. I'd be very concerned about that.
If you're going into Bloodlines 2 hoping for more of Bloodlines 1, I feel like you should definitely be concerned, because that is not the kind of game.
I mean, if you're going into Bloodlines 2 expecting a good and complete game, that's where I'd be more concern.
Sure, maybe, but look, I don't want to spend the entire time talking about Bloodlines 2. Still Wakes the Deep is pretty fucking solid. Like, even though you're on rails the entire time, it does a really good job of creating an atmosphere, putting you in really tense situations. But like, and a lot of it is like, you know how I always say, like, I hate being chased. If you hate being chased, this is not a good game for you. Like, there is a lot of like you're seeing something horrible, realizing it's coming right for you, and running the opposite direction and trying to like navigate really tight hallways. And like, as the game progresses, the ship is getting taken like more and more damage.
You play so many of these games. You realize you just like atmospheric Crash Bandicoot, right? That's all you're playing is Crash Bandicoot.
I've never thought about it that way. I've never thought about it that way. I do like atmospheric horror Crash Bandicoot, because that's a really good way of describing this. But you know, the biggest complaint I have with this game, because it's actually a pretty complete package. Like, if you just like really if you want to like watch or experience kind of like a horror movie or a horror story that is somewhere in the realm of The Thing or even Alien, right? This is really good in that sense. But it's a game where the primary mechanic is running and navigating tight spaces to avoid monsters. And when you hold down the trigger button to run in this game, it's like it feels like you're like he's waving, like you'll see his arms like waving in front of, like he's running really fast, right? But it feels like you're in a wind tunnel running against the wind, because like the speed at which I'm moving does not feel like it matches the heft of my, like, the momentum that it seems like they're trying to create. So half the time I'm running, I'm like, go, this is not fast enough. What the fuck are you doing? Which I think is artificial to kind of like heighten your tension and fear or whatever. But like, it's really noticeable. It bothered me almost the entire game. Other than that, though, pretty cool, pretty atmospheric, like horror. Like, if you just want to vibe with a horror game, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Not much to say about it beyond that, though. It's not very mechanically deep, I suppose.
But I mean, you play horror games like this all the time without much.
I do play a lot of horror games like this, and I like this kind. But like, there's some I can't even really put my finger on what it is. But like, this game is like this. Their style of game is like not as like, I wouldn't, like, I've played like, I'm thinking of like maybe Outlast, right? That's a horror game where you're doing a lot of running and hiding and stuff. But like, that game is much deeper, I feel like, than something like this. And I can't really put my finger on what it is that makes.
You got batteries and shit in that game. This is a walking sim. It's a horror walking sim.
Yeah, I mean, there's outside of like running when you need to run. Yeah, I mean, you have a flashlight. You're not managing batteries. You're not really managing resources. You're really just kind of like trying to react on the fly and navigate situations that are terrifying. But it's pretty cool. I'll leave it at that. You know, I was kind of hoping for something more akin to like Soma, kind of because of the setting and whatnot. But it doesn't. It doesn't really.
Soma is also this type of game, right?
But Soma, I feel like Soma says. Like Soma is a game that says something that stayed, like, that the ending of Soma stayed with me for a while. After
it was a cool sci-fi story, but like,
and it was a cool sci-fi story. But this I feel like this is much more straightforward than that. Like, it's not. Like, I don't want to like spoil anything, but and it's just like, don't go into
You're
it.
Just not getting all the metaphors, Nick. I mean, come on.
I mean, I just don't think it's there, man. I don't think it's there. There's some stuff there to maybe dig into. It's just it's not as narratively satisfying as something like Soma.
You just can't take the Scottish accent seriously, and I feel
the Scottish accent is maybe one of the best parts of the game. Like, it's just like the voice acting is really good. And I mean, I'm not a Scottish person. Maybe they're actually really bad Scottish accents, and I'm just totally off key here. But
sounds like Pixar. Sounded Brave.
Was that bad?
It is pretty bad.
I don't even think I've seen that movie. Anyways, you know, if you're watching this like if you want to get an idea of like the body horror, the footage, like there's a dude down here and he's like, you know, like in the Thing when like the monster's like not really taking when he's not taking the form of a human, it's just like this like massive like flesh and it's like sticking to things and like that's that's what you're dealing with a lot. And a lot of times you're in dark, really tight spaces and you're hearing this thing move and you can kind of see its shadow, its silhouette moving through the darkness and stuff, and you have to like, okay, I had to like wait and like step out into this like hallway and cross the hallway and hope that it doesn't see me, because if it does, I'm gonna have to book it and it's pitch black in here. A lot of that shit. So yeah.
Do you have like a sanity meter? What's this little like red shit on the corner?
There's the shit, like the whole Lovecraftian aspect of it is like, because you don't really know what's happened. Like it sounds like they were drilling and they hit something when they were drilling, and now this like alien type thing is like jutted up from the ocean and like stabbed right through the rig, and it's growing and it's this like fleshy thing, and if you ever get anywhere near the fleshy thing, it starts to mess with it. You might call it a sanity meter, but it doesn't really affect your sanity. It just like kind of like, it's almost like jelly vision, that like if you get too close to it, it just makes it harder to like make sense of your surroundings, which is weird. But it also has some story implications I'm not going to go into. Like other things happen when you get close to it that are more like narratively important, but they also represent that visually on the screen with the weird jelly vision looking stuff. But yeah,
tell you what, we need a new like a remake or a new version of Extermination. That was a pretty good PS2 game.
That PS2 launch game, was that a launch game? I think it was a launch game.
It was a sweary game, I think.
Was that no?
That can't be
really
true. I refuse.
Somebody needs to look that up right now. That can't be true. But you know what? I'm actually kind of excited to see what Night Dive did with that remaster of The Thing, because like some of those, you know, I never played that game, but like Night Dive does some pretty good stuff, and maybe that's what it needed. Maybe it just needed some polish on there, which it certainly looks like it's getting. But anyways, yeah, Still Wakes the Deep. Guys, it's like a nice 4.5, 5 hour like weekend horror game, and if you have Game Pass, it's on. It's
only about as long as this podcast.
Only about as long as this podcast. Fuck you, Crispy. Okay, let's move on. It's time. Let's talk some Fantasy Critic.
Yeah.
So what's there to talk about? What's there to talk about?
Contentious conversation. I'm going to let them set it up because they had a plan, and I didn't quite understand.
Who is them?
On that there was a plan.
It was a deal. It was a deal, as every deal is.
Came to a gentleman's agreement.
Hold on. But before y'all start, Nick, how much did you grok from the conversation we were having the other day?
I pieced out. I saw that y'all were arguing, and I pieced out.
The fuck is grok?
Okay. So
Someone's never read.
Collusion is against the rules, but
What collusion? What is a deal if not collusion?
That's a good point.
If collusion is happening behind the scenes and it's leading to unfair trades, which are also against the rules,
what is an unfair trade? Nobody, like, if both parties of the trade think it's fair.
Okay, first of all,
let me set it up as to how I saw it first.
Real quick. As a host, let me just say, Fantasy Critic, we're here to talk about the the game, right? I don't necessarily want to reopen wounds that have otherwise already healed in Discord.
No. We have to get the facts.
We're
out
fine.
there. The way I saw it is a trade appeared in.
We haven't even talked about like what actually happened with when bids closed.
Fucking Carlos got Zelda, Crispy got Mario and Luigi. I accidentally picked up Dragon Age.
I got Stalker 2, which Chris
you
Davis
got Stalker 2. And I also got Arranger. So I do want to talk about Dragon Age because it was a game that I threw out there to try to throw the scent off the games that I wanted because I don't have a lot of money. And then no one bid on Dragon Age, so I just sort of ended up with it. I really wasn't expecting that, and I kind of don't want it anymore. And
I was real close. I almost bid on Dragon Age, but I figured there was no way I was going to win it because I'm still trying to save money to do my Super Drop. I got to make a decision about my Super Drop.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, it's up for sale. I have a trade offer out for Crispy if he wants it. I've talked about Dragon Age. a lot of people out there are believing in this game way harder than me. It's not hard to find positive previews for this game. So I'm not trying to like get rid of a stinker here. I'm happy to keep it, but I also need a little bit more money. And I don't know, if you believe in the game more than I do, which apparently I'm enemy number one on Reset Era, various Discords. No one wants to hear me talk about Dragon Age. It's up for sale, and the first offer was for Crispy, so he can accept it if he wants. But whatever.
What was the offer for Crispy? The most I can give you is $2 for it.
I'm offering Brad $4 for Dragon Age because he paid $3 for it.
I paid $3 for it. I didn't think I would get it. I didn't think I would get it for $3. I should have done the priorities different, but I never fucked with that.
I only have $3 to work with, so.
You only have $3 over the 40?
I have $43, and I'm thinking about using my super drop. Which I can make a decision here in the next.
Okay. Well, there's other people with more money,
days.
but whatever. Okay. So the trade appeared, which immediately set off alarm bells. It was, and the trade was accepted right away. And this is how we knew collusion was happening, or a deal was happening behind the scenes, whatever you want to call it. It was
please don't do
Chris Davis was trading Crispy, an offer he accepted immediately. Metaphor ReFantazio, the hotly anticipated game from the makers of Persona, and the already shipped 88 Unicorn Overlord for $1. Both of those games for $1. And when I saw that, I'm like, okay, well, Chris Davis, who is known in Fantasy Critic to be kind of unhinged and make strange choices, was like, well, he's clearly just giving up. I mean, he's giving someone an 88 that's already shipped, which is kind of priceless in terms of Fantasy Critic. He's given 2 games away. And by the way, Metaphor probably going to be like around another 88 is my guess, if not higher. He's giving them to Crispy for $1, which is one to me is like, well, he's giving up and he's doing he's hooking up Crispy because he's struggling or something. And to me, I'm like, well, you can't do that because it says right on the website, one of the rules is, obviously unfair trades, which suggest collusion, are not allowed.
That doesn't make any sense because they also say that trades do not have to be equal and need to be agreed upon by both parties.
Literally have to be equal. He was trading you an already shipped 88 for 50 cents.
Because I was going to give him a draft pick for next year. That was the additional context.
So this
was the additional context, was that I was going to give him one of my draft picks for next year, which, by the way, if this was like any professional sport league, that would be okay. You can do that. But
First
also,
of all,
if this was a professional sport league, the person who came in last place last year wouldn't also have to draft last this year. Like the whole thing is already a little fucking
we established
sketch.
Before we randomly rolled the order, the reason we couldn't do that is because Ed was joining this time. And when you have a new roster of players, you can't just swap the order.
Gotten the last pick then. No, it's
we left it to the gods, man. It's not blame
but
the
it's
gods.
really easy for everyone to sit there and say that when they're not the ones who have to fucking deal with
listen.
it. I'm getting fucking buried 2 years in a row because of a roll we made on January 2nd.
Your role is not what put you in that place necessarily. I was second to last place last year, which I'd argue is even worse than last place because it's a snake draft, and I won.
Yeah, look, I'm not. It's like whatever. I'm not.
Brad, this is why
I'm still playing the game. Things are as they're going. The reason why I was a little punchy about it is because you can okay, fine, maybe it's collusion, maybe it's cheating, quote unquote, but it's not like. If the trade went through as is, like if I gave him $1, I would have been down to $13 and I would have had a guaranteed 88 and then another game which probably would have scored pretty well. I would have had 3 more games to fill out. I would have had 5 75s on my list. Like I still am in like a strong 3rd place.
True,
if that deal goes through.
We can't allow decisions based on
it's not
that.
Like yeah, but like when things were getting heated, it was all like, yeah, I know. But when things were getting heated, it was all like, you're ruining the game, like you're bombing the league, and it's like that is obviously not what we're doing. Like this wasn't a scorched earth strategy. So this was like Chris Davis doesn't believe in his team anymore, and I think I can at least be competitive, and that's it. That's it.
Brad, This is exactly okay. I understand. This is what I was talking about. Like, this is why I didn't want to get into the weeds on this, because y'all are just reopening the same conversation we've already.
We're not arguing. I'm telling you, we're giving you our side. Brad and I are fine. Like, we're cool. Brad and I are cool. We're not like arguing.
I don't know what we're supposed to
talk
about then.
What we're supposed to talk.
I just want to say we did clear this up, but the whole, it's not that I wasn't accusing them specifically of ruining the game. It's this type of play that I've tried to avoid from the beginning. I want to run a very clean league, like a very, a league where shenanigans don't happen. It's why we don't do like mid-year counter picks. It's why we don't do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Why are we having this conversation on the podcast?
We're talking about because it's what happened, and we're talking.
This is
the news of what happened. We had like 1,000 messages in Discord, and probably a lot of people. I want to be clear. Didn't want to read back through it, but this is what happened, and this is also the first time that Brad and I are talking face to face about it. It's it. That's it. Look, it's not a thing. We're not like having an awful contentious argument right now. I'm explaining why. I'm just thinking about people. It was like, well, I mean, I don't know. Okay, they already heard their game.
I want to use this to transition to you as the league manager. Do you know how trades work?
I mean, I have final approval over all of the trades.
Okay, you have only approval actually. So everyone puts in a vote for what they think should happen. You see that information, but ultimately you decide. The reason it's worthy to bring up on conversation is for the sake of clarity, not just for our league, but for others. People have asked me, like, I want to be clear that we're not allowing this trade. Like you as the league manager, you have to decide if you think something like this is okay. I think the idea of maybe doing some crazy shit with next year is like interesting, but I think the way you go about it is maybe much different than the way y'all did, and I think the trade has to be much more reasonable.
Hang on. Because I started this shit, can I get into word edgewise and explain what I did?
It seemed like Chris Davis flavor.
Can I, please? Can I talk? Okay. So, Zelda gets announced. I want Zelda. I know that I am in last place. I have 3 counterpick games, 2 of which are not coming out this year, and one probably is never going to be announced. So, I know I'm fucked. So, my first instinct is to go scorched earth. So what I wanted to do was put all my money into Zelda and just take ownership of that and take it away from everyone else. Because if I don't have a chance, fuck everyone else. Then I started thinking, and I DM'd Crispy, and I was like, and again, at the time, I didn't know about this rule about doing next year stuff. You couldn't do that this year.
In retrospect, it was kind of
unfair trades was the rule.
The only thing I knew at the time was that every other draft or league I'd ever heard of allowed this. So that's why I approached Crispy. I said, look, I will trade you Zelda when I get it. You give me a draft pick of my choice of draft picks 2 through 10, 2 through 10 of his list. Next year, I get to choose that at some point during later of the year. Okay? That's what I originally did. Saturday night rolls around. I get several DMs from Crispy, and I go look at Fantasy Critic, and I see that Carlos has fucked me. He paid $53.
Carlos's fault.
Carlos paid $53 for this fucking game.
On Zelda.
Yeah.
Honestly, if okay.
So what I decided was, well, what Crispy and I discussed and we thought was a fair exchange was, since I knew I was already fucked, I would give him Metaphor, which is my number 1, which is going to score well, and I would give him Unicorn Overlord because
originally, I think it's important to also point out, originally the deal was I was going to throw everything I could at Mario and Luigi and try to get it. Yes. I put more money than I was comfortable with after Mario and Luigi.
Yes.
He was going to put every dollar he had after Zelda, and then he was going to trade me Zelda for a draft pick to be named next year. That was the deal. When that didn't happen, we were both kind of like in red alert mode. What the fuck's going on? I was pissed because I spent all my money on a plan that now, like, you know, okay, I got one game that's maybe going to be good, like, but so what? Now I have no money to fill out the rest of my list, right?
Yes.
So I told Chris Davis, like, all right, fine, you want to trade me this, like, surefire pick from the Persona dev in exchange to, like, make up for what I'm losing out, like what I've ostensibly lost out on. And then I was like, well, you kind of put me in a rough position with your plan, whatever.
Schemes
So
kind of fair.
Give me one of your scoring games too if you're out. That's how we got to where we ended up. All right, yeah. That's not where we started. And honestly, like, looking back on it in retrospect, we probably should have double checked the fact before we even tried any of this. But yeah. I think that.
And we won't even mention the other strange places that went after that.
Okay.
Other games, but Nick, you do need to make a decision, and you do need to weigh in as the league manager.
I will make a decision, and we'll talk about it off the show. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Also,
I just want to.
You feel what?
Fantasy Critic discussions on the podcast are. I always hope they're in the service of, like, more reasons to talk or dig deeper on some of these games as to why we think they're good or why they're not going to be good.
All the time.
I know, and I think that, like, I don't know, like, it's the same sense I got from, like, the resistance to the trade, where it's like, we don't want Fantasy Critic itself to be a game. We just want it to be an excuse to talk about games, but. Right. I'm kind of trying to play it like a fucking game because it's the only way I can fucking win.
It's a gentleman's game.
Well, gentlemen don't not strategize. Like,
look, yeah. I mean,
okay,
it's
covered.
Also, if Chris Davis had just thrown all of his money at Zelda and then had nothing left to buy any other, like, I don't know how many slots he has open anymore, but if he had just been like, I'm not winning, so I'm taking Zelda, like. If what we were doing was shenanigans, that's shenanigans. Like,
but if he got it honestly, that's no big deal.
Okay,
with his money,
we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay.
I'm trying to move this along, and Sonji's in chat says, "Shush, Nick, this shit's my MILF manor."
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
It is MILF manor.
This is definitely, like, for a relatively boring year in Fantasy Critic. This is definitely one of the more interesting moments.
But we barely talked about any of the games that were actually part of this huge draft week.
Yeah, but we talked about Zelda, we talked about Mario and Luigi, we talked about all the games that we picked up. We talked literally about coming out of SGF and the Nintendo Direct.
Zelda, Mario, and Luigi were the two big gets.
I even talked about Arranger today. I talked about Arranger today.
I spent $20 on Stalker 2 because I was convinced that fucking Chris Davis was going to come for me for that, for even trying to take that off the field. I got no resistance from. I
was never going to do Stalker 2 because
I was surprised no one bid on
developer. Dragon. I don't trust this new GSC game world.
I know.
I need to see.
I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised.
I know, but, like, have you been seeing a lot of this preview coverage coming out about it?
A lot of games have really good trailers and footage, man.
But, like, this is a game about you're right. You're absolutely right. But this is also a game where you're supposed to be taking into account those kinds of reactions to help you make decisions.
Yes, but you also have to understand my perspective. I have followed GSC Game World pretty closely over the years.
I know.
And if you've heard about some of the fucking shenanigans that have happened with that owner of that studio and all the bullshit that happened with Stalker 2, the original Stalker 2, like, I can't bring myself to trust this new team. I need to see it delivered.
Well, it looks a hell of a lot better than Bloodlines 2, that's for fucking sure.
Yeah, well, Stalker 2 is getting some pretty glowing review coverage, and a lot of people saying it's sticking remarkably close to like the survival aspect of it, where you know it's not just an action game where you're running around this open world shooting things with guns. Like it's
that sounds
sticking pretty, and that's what I needed to hear. That's what I wanted to hear, and everyone that played it at Summer Game Fest and wrote about it and talked about it has been pretty glowing about it. So I finally decided.
I think it's a good pickup for you, Nick. I mean, I feel like your roster is definitely filled up with, like, pretty big blockbustery games.
Now I have $43, and I'm trying. I have 5 days.
How many slots do you have left? How many slots do you have left?
I have 1 slot.
Are any of them at risk of not coming out? All you need is $1.
I mean, Deca Police.
Okay, well, so you need $2. I mean, that's the thing. Like, so one of the reasons, I'm offering Dragon Age up for sale is because I want to make sure all my games actually ship. So my question is, does Crispy want? Oh well, he's gone. Is me selling Dragon Age okay? I mean, you have to approve the trade, and if Crispy,
I would offer to buy it from you if I had the money, but like I'm pretty sure I'm going to use my, I'm pretty sure I'm going to use my super drop, and Crispy has already outbid the max I have.
I'm like, and the Dragon Age. Look, I think I want to do it. I think I want to do it just because of the shape I'm in, and just because I already feel like I need to start just like doing stuff. I don't know, and I don't know that I have the patience, the temperament, or the luxury of just waiting around for a whole bunch of good
for jimmies,
cheap jimmies. Yeah, I just like Dragon Age is a gamble. I understand that, and I'm giving up $4 of my $14 to buy it. Okay?
I would love that $14.
I don't want $4. I don't want to give you $14. I want to give you $4. Look,
no.
If it doesn't work out, no, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I get what you're saying.
No, the truth is, I think Dragon Age is going to be fine, but like, I think it's probably.
I think it's gonna be fine too, and like I'm paying for it after watching those previews and being kind of like, I don't know, this looks weird. Like when you said it looked like Kingdoms of Amalur, I was like, that's what I was thinking of. Like that was the game I was trying to think of. That I'm like, what does this look like? And it was that. But
I want to be very clear that previews out of SGF,
I know,
were glowing.
and it's one of those franchises where like people just really like people just like Dragon Age, and like
Inquisition's high 80s. That's crazy to me, right?
I don't know. That is crazy, but also like, do I think this is going to do better than Inquisition? I don't know.
I don't think it's going to do better than Inquisition, but I think it's certainly going to do better than Dragon Age 2. Right?
This year, I have been nailing 75s. Okay, like if I'm picking up a game, it's a 75. Like I don't know what the fuck that's all about.
I'll make it.
Honestly, I think this could be a similar situation.
If Dragon Age scores a 75 or lower, I'll take it back.
Like the deal so you're saying,
well, if I have no room on my roster, I can't take $4.
No, you'll have to trade something. You'll have to trade something off of your list.
You'll have to trade something higher than a 75 for me to do that.
But one of the reasons I want to get rid of Dragon Age is because I think it'll come out this year, but it doesn't have a solid date, and I can't afford to have games without solid dates on my list. Yeah. I mean, it's a free drop.
No, I get that.
And they'll, of course, announce a delay, but I don't want any games that could get delayed on my list because I'm still worried about like Silksong and shit. So I just need a little bit of money. That's why I'm making the deal. Whatever.
I'm still,
okay.
Whatever.
Well, accept the trade.
Listen, if you want to, hang on. Like you look me in the digital representation of my eyes right now.
Yes.
If I give you $4, you give me Dragon Age, and Dragon Age scores under a 75, you trade it with another game on your list that's 75 or higher. It can be a 75, but it's got to be at least 75 or higher.
It's a good joke, but I don't want to tank my lead for the sake of the joke.
I mean, that's.
And look,
I'm saying I don't not believe in that game that much. It's gonna do better than that.
Brad, look me in the eye, my digital eyes. Yeah. I feel comfortable giving you $2 for Dragon.
No, he's giving me $4. I want $4.
But without the caveat that you have to take it back if it gets less than a 75.
Crispy. I want more than $2 though.
Okay. Hey, if that's a deal,
I'm only saying that because I need to hold on.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it just because that's spicy and not unreasonable. That's spicy. If it's 75 or lower, I'll take it back, and I'll give you my next lowest scoring game above a 75.
Watch it. Watch the next lowest scoring.
And let me tell you, like 80, I draft games thinking they're going to be 85 or higher, so I'm worried I might not have a game scoring.
Deal. All right. I'll take it.
Here's what I'll do.
Hey, this is not a good deal for me. Dragon Age is a good pickup.
Look, and here's the deal.
Okay, you know what? Just because it's a gentleman's game, what if I give you $5 instead of $4?
Ooh, okay, $5. I'm in.
Okay, look, and when that deal goes through, I'm gonna put a message on our critic that shows up at the top there that says
Brad just lost the league.
There's a gentleman's agreement that if Dragon Age scores less than a 75, he has to trade something for more than a 75 and take back Dragon Age.
Okay.
All right, look, I'm gonna reject the one. I'm gonna reject the one that you sent me. And I'm gonna do a $5.
All right, this is how deals are made. Okay, guys, we need to move on. So, thank Thanks for sticking with us. Let's do it. Let's wrap up the show with the 4-player minute.
All right.
Brad, you start.
I have one. It's one I keep forgetting to bring up, and I know I'm the only person on the planet who's going to bring it up, and I feel bad already for this game, but I'm excited. So Cappy Games, good old Capybara. I do love me some Cappy. Makers of really cool games like Super Time Force. Love me some Super Time Force. But of course, my baby Might and Magic Clash of Heroes. I love it. I mean, Cappy's made some really cool indie games over the years. I don't know. I feel like maybe in recent years they've been struggling a little bit. Below was like one they were in development for a long time, and I think it didn't quite hit. But Grindstone came out for when Apple Arcade dropped in. Grindstone's really cool. Anyways, they announced their new game, and it's called Battle Vision Network. This was part of the Day of the Devs, Battle Vision Network. They're taking Might and Magic Clash of Heroes, which had a multiplayer mode, but it wasn't really like super balanced, and it was a little too long. Like the game, great. Like the core mechanics of Clash of Heroes is so fucking good. Like a brilliant puzzle strategy game design. I still think it's like one of the best hidden gems out there. But the multiplayer mode's like perfect for it, but it wasn't like the matches would take a little bit too long. Anyways, they're making a multiplayer only, like basically a spiritual successor to Might and Magic Clash of Heroes that's focused on making that taking that multiplayer experience and making it like quicker, more streamlined, but still those same core mechanics where you're like you're kind of lining up units like match 3 style, and they're either making walls or like units that are going to attack. Yeah, exactly. And it's called Battle Vision Network, and it's got a cool look to it, and it's going to be in Steam and Switch and mobile even, I think, and it's going to be like I went in their Discord, they're saying like they're aiming for like 5-6 minute matches or whatever, which is good for a game. I already asked for, are you going to have asynchronous, take your turn and have a bunch of games going at once, and then you can just get to your games when you have a chance, which I want so much from multiplayer games that I like the Words with Friends. Y'all have all played Words with Friends, right? You take your turn, you can have multiple games going. I wish more games had that mode. I want it so bad. I would play so many more multiplayer games if I could just do my turns when I had a chance, and then I could wait on other people. But I don't think it's built like that. But anyways, I love Clash of Heroes. I'm glad it's coming back. I hope that this somehow weirdly catches on, but honestly, I worry about any game these days. But it's one that I feel like I had to shout out. I think it looks cool. It's called Battle Vision Network. Watch a trailer. I should have put I keep forgetting to put the trailer on Trailer Talk. Damn it. Maybe next week I'll put the Battle Vision Network trailer on there, or maybe I had it on there weeks ago. No, or maybe after. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I just want to shout out that, and real quick, I just want to shout out that I've been playing some more Rebirth, but I've been like, what does this game feel like if I just do the story, just the critical path? Literally, don't even get chocobos. You don't have to do any of that. So much of that game is optional. It is crazy. So many of the pain points that people have said playing through that game of like I've been pulling my hair out on this mini game and getting this chocobo and doing this stealth sequence. That shit's not really there at all, as if you just do the crit path story game. And at the end of the day, that really is what I'm there for. And I think a lot of people are there for. And it's kind of nice to play it that way. It's still like a weirdly paced game with like overly long dungeons just because you kind of move slow. But like I've been kind of moving through it, and there's some really cool moments, like Yuffie singing her theme song, like with words while chilling. That was.
I'm looking forward to going back to that.
That was charming, man. It's a cool game. It's a cool game. And if I had more time and I was like a teenager, I'd probably be doing everything. But I'm enjoying it more, not doing the grind of the open world stuff. So yeah.
I probably missed it. Where'd you say you were in the game?
Where am I right now? I'm in posts. I'm heading to Nibelheim.
Oh, okay. So you're like in the jungle area?
No, I'm past Cosmo Canyon. I'm heading to Nibelheim. Do you know what Nibelheim is? It's like the most important location in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I just forgot that Nibelheim was after Cosmo Canyon. Yeah.
After Cosmo Canyon.
Yeah.
Because isn't there a point where you're in Nibelheim? Never mind.
In the story, when you go there in the main timeline,
right. Okay.
I will say Nibelheim probably has the most fun version of the chocobos, so that's something to look forward to.
You don't need them. You You just don't need them.
But do you want them? All right.
No. They're bad in this game. I don't like the chocobo.
Crispy.
Well, right now I'm like fully focused on Final Fantasy 14. Going into Dawn Trail. I don't have any money, so I haven't pre-ordered it. So I'm probably not going to.
You could be playing this game in 3 days.
Well, no, I can't because I'm not done with the fucking MSQ.
Or that.
Yeah, so probably a waste to try to take advantage of the early access period. But yeah, I mean I don't know. That's all I got at the moment. I think I'm digging in here for a while and maybe try to squeeze in some Like a Dragon, because I swear to God, I swore to myself I was gonna play Infinite Wealth before the end of the year, and
I've also been playing more Infinite Wealth, and it's so good.
Yeah,
but hey, who knew it was already the fucking end of June, huh? Like,
we're halfway there.
I hate everything. So I don't know. We'll see. Right. We'll fucking see.
Fair enough.
Well,
cool.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, then, Chris Davis, it is your turn.
So I'll try to be quick. Last week I was kind of staggered because I forgot what I was actually going to do for my 4-player minute, but I remembered after the show, so I'm going to do it now. I did not go through the results of our predictions episode we did several weeks ago before Summer Games Fest happened, and I've got them now. I wanted to share them with you.
It was brutal. I don't think any of us...
I think Nick won because he said no to everything.
Actually, you would... So this was surprising. So, just to be clear, it was myself, Nick, and Brad that participated. I invited Chris, Nolan, and Ed, and I guess they didn't do it.
I mean, it wasn't Chris Davis.
Yeah. No, it wasn't me.
Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't... Yeah, I couldn't...
That's okay. So, for Summer Games Fest, the results
We're not going through this one by one, right? We're just...
Oh, I'll be real quick. So... I got 9 right. Nick got 15 right. Brad got 16. For the Xbox, I got 3. Nick got 6. Brad got 8. For Ubisoft, I got 5. Nick got 8. Brad got 6. And for Nintendo, I got 4. Nick got 8. And Brad got 7. Which leads to me getting 22. Brad getting 38, and Nick getting 39.
Oh! Yes! I'm going to be honest.
Stupid negative
numbers. All of those numbers you just said sound really high. But okay.
39 out of 57 predictions. That's honestly pretty good.
What is happening?
They were all no.
In the year of our Lord, when am I being the negative Nancy and winning?
What? The year you decided to play Japanese games.
Yeah.
Well, there's a correlation there. There must be a correlation. Well, thank you for adding all those up. That was brutal. Okay. Anything else you wanted to add for your minute before, or is that?
No, unless you want me to talk more Fantasy Critic, but I don't think we want to do that right now.
Nope, I'm good. Look, I don't have anything specific I want to talk about right this second. So what I will do is I'll highlight a game that's kind of have my eye on, and this is a game that I don't feel necessarily confident enough to bid on in Fantasy Critic, so I feel like it's fair game here. But it's coming out next month apparently. I didn't even realize it had a date. But there's a game called Nobody Wants to Die coming on PC next month from Critical Hit Games, and it's like a futuristic cyberpunk detective game that's made in Unreal Engine 4 or something, and or are we on 5?
We're on 5.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5, and it looks fucking beautiful, and I don't know. It just, I love me some detective, a game that's built around detective mechanics.
Games?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna bid on this game because it could literally be anything. But it's you're manipulating time with twisting, you're going into these crime scenes and shit and rewinding time and stuff and figuring out what happened in the crime scenes. Very kind of like Arkham. esque, I suppose. A little bit of Arkham, a little bit of Condemned in there, but like also with like the futuristic cyberpunk and like maybe even some open world elements. I don't know. It looks pretty rad. I'm not gonna like hold my breath because this is from a relatively unknown studio, I believe, in I think Poland. But it definitely looks like my jam, and it's coming out next month, so I have my eye on it. I'm probably going to give it a shot.
I'm getting Atomic Heart vibes from it, but I will say the Steam screenshots here.
Heart, one of my favorite games of 2023.
I mean, I'm not knocking it for that. I'm just saying, like, the screenshots that they have on their Steam page feel very much like bullshots. So
I'm watching a trailer of it right now on Steam with like the game in motion. It's a beautiful looking game.
Screenshots? What are you, Nick?
You're right. It's one of those games you look at and you're like, this looks like it may be quote unquote too good to be true. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
Yeah.
But like I felt that way about Atomic Heart all the way up until I was playing it, and then I was like, oh my god, it's everything I wanted.
It's true.
So
it was a video game.
I have my eye on this. It was a damn good video game. I still have to play that new DLC. Anyways, that's it. That's all I got.
That's the move, by the way, Nick. That's the move. Snub the Elden Ring DLC and play the Atomic Heart DLC. I like it.
But yes, be the man you were born to be, Nicholas.
But why? I'm not snubbing it. I've already played like 8 hours of Elden Ring DLC.
Yeah, and next week that tall tale is gonna become 10 hours. But we know the truth.
You should quit on stream and be like, "Oh, this is bad design. It's too hard."
I'm gonna go play Atomic Heart.
I'm 130 hours into Elden Ring. I feel like I've earned my stripes here. Okay.
No, I was making your reference to.
I mean,
other streamers.
But I also have. I just finished 9 Souls. I've beaten all the Dark Souls games. Like, what do I got to do to prove
you
myself?
You don't finish enough games, Nick. You need to finish more.
You shut your
mouth. No time for Baldur's Gate. You gotta keep going.
The truth is Nick, no matter what you say, no matter what games let you provide, no one's ever gonna believe you. That's just part of the meme with you.
That's
all right,
true.
Kill it.
That's it, guys. That's our show. Thank you for sticking with us. 800 episodes. Here's to 800 more. Of course, guys, if you're not a member of our Discord, please, we'd love to have you there. Jump in at discord.gg/4player. We'd love to hear from you. Pop into that introductions channel, say hello, maybe tell us what you're playing. That's a great way to. It's a great icebreaker. We're always curious about that. And stick around, hang out, talk about video games and such, or post pictures of your pets in the Pet Pics channel.
Do that. Definitely do that.
You know. But anyways, thanks for listening. We'll be back next Tuesday night, which is when we record these things live on Twitch and YouTube. But in the meantime, y'all be good to each other, play video games. Good night.